Just see how the world turns. Here we are, you and I, commenting on England's historic qualification for the Euro 2024 final, after two decisive substitutions made by the much-criticized Gareth Southgate. Football. It has these unexpected wonders, small surprises that give new contours to situations that already seemed resolved, changing opinions that seemed definitive. In the title of this video, I mentioned Southgate's successes, not to make a 180 degrees turn in my opinions. I still think that England would be better without Southgate, and that this should be his last competition in charge of the England team. But I also want to shed some light on the coach's successes in this Euro. Some successes, correcting your own mistakes, but after all, life is the art of making mistakes and getting it right, and making mistakes and making mistakes and making mistakes and, every now and then, getting it right. At least he has listened to the field. At least he is not passionate about his own opinions. He has been malleable, being open to seeing what is working and what is going wrong and making changes. Of course, he also has mistakes that persist, but I think it's good form to praise what should be praised, even for those who I think have already reached the end of the line in their own position. Let's go to the list of successes I observed from Southgate in this Euro. You don't have to agree with everyone, obviously. I think trying Arnold in midfield was an okay idea for the start of the Euros. Would it have been better to have tried this before, in the qualifiers or friendlies? Yes, but Arnold wasn't always physically well. Anyway, it lasted 2 games, which could be an eternity in a short tournament, but he saw that it didn't work. He retreated. He tried Gallagher, which, for me, was a mistake. But at least it only lasted 1 game. The final against Slovenia in the group stage, that terrible England game. Then comes the big deal for me, perhaps the main one or one of the main ones. Giving a chance to an 18-year-old kid called Kobbie Mainoo. Anyone who follows Manchester United knows that he was really asking for a pass, and good thing, that pass was given to him in the first knockout game. And so, the successes are also decorated with bits of luck, resilience, achieving these goals at the end of the matches, like Bellingham's against Slovakia and then on penalties against Switzerland. For example, in the quarterfinals against Switzerland, he changes the scheme, placing a selection more within a pattern that he himself had built up until the last Euro, in which he undone because it seemed that he was really reaching his own ceiling in that line scheme. 5 with 3 defenders. He plays the entire preparation for the Qatar Cup and the Qatar Cup with a line of 4, which works to a certain extent, and he maintains this even throughout the group stage of this Euro. After the game against Slovakia, England improved slightly against Switzerland and considerably for this game against the Netherlands. In the game against Switzerland, right after Embolo's goal, he immediately makes 3 substitutions. Okay, he could have done it sooner, but at least he reacted quickly, and that impacted the game. England got the draw, and we already know the sequence, extra time, etc. Today, he kept the team that worked against Switzerland with just 1 change. The addition of Guehi, from Palace, who was suspended against Switzerland, in place of Konsa, who had replaced Palace's defender. Right at halftime, he puts on Shaw, who had already started well in the previous match. Shaw is not physically ready. He hasn't played for over 5 months, so he can't start a game. But at least he came on at halftime, played the final 45 minutes, and he had the courage that, folks, of course, if it hadn't been a goal, we could be here criticizing it. I don't think so, because I didn't really like the match. I don't really like Kane's Euro so far. Foden played better today in the first half against the Netherlands, but still, a Euro also a little lower, not only because of Kane, not only because of Foden. The England team took a while to get something going, but whatever. In any case, he had the courage to take these guys out, especially Kane, captain, scorer of the first goal and penalty taker, at 36 in the second half. Enter Palmer, who assists Watkins, who also entered. I think it's fun. Whether we like it or not, Southgate is in 4 major competitions for the England team, not counting the Nations League. Only the World Cup and Euro. In the first World Cup, in 2018, in Russia, he reached the semi-final, England's first semi-final since 1990, 28 years later. In the 2020 Euro, held in 2021, due to the pandemic, he reached the first Euro decision in England's history. He lost on penalties at home to Italy, in a game that lacked aggression, could have been more offensive, but it was a historic result. In the 2022 World Cup, he falls in the quarterfinals to France, who were the current world champions and future finalists, playing very well. This is still, for me, the greatest game of the Southgate era in England, even though it ended in elimination. Now, he returns to a Euro final. England had never arrived before him and reached 2 in a row with him. He is a historic coach for this team, with several buts, but the results are there. It can be said that it is carried by a talented generation, but I have already listed some successes here that can really be praised by Southgate, even though some of these successes are corrections of errors. England haven't played as well as they did today since, in my opinion, that game against France in the 2022 World Cup. They play ball again. The first half was very good. I already said it on Twitter, and a lot of people disagreed with me. I didn't think it was a penalty. I don't think Dumfries' entry was foul enough, firstly to be a penalty, and secondly for a VAR intervention, which should only be for an obvious error. I don't think it was a mistake, much less an obvious one. But England created enough in the first half to deservedly come away with a draw, and could even have come away with victory. I know that the Netherlands team also created opportunities, in addition to Xavi Simon's great goal, following a mistake by Rice. I don't think it was Pickford's fault, the mistake was Rice's. There was Dave Fry's header against the crossbar and 2 or 3 balls that were just missing the final pass. A chronic problem for Koeman's team in this Euro, even though they returned to a semi-final after so long in the Euro. England had much more play. It was a very good first half for the English team. He also put the ball on the post with a shot from Foden from outside the area. There was a ball over the line taken away by Dumfries. There was a lot of movement in the first half. Penalty on Kane, ball over the line, header on the crossbar. In the second half, Koeman managed to correct the Netherlands' main flaw, which allowed England to grow. The game without the ball, a completely random marking, giving a lot of space. He fixed that, and Southgate didn't react. The game took on the look, smell, and feel of extra time. Even a penalty shootout, that half-dead extra time. Until we had England's scare when Saka's goal was disallowed due to Walker's offside position. And then, the grand finale, another one. For England in this Euro. It was like that against Slovakia, on penalties against Switzerland, and now this goal in the final minute by Watkins. Very beautiful. It's great to have Watkins as a character. He had a wonderful season for Aston Villa, reeking of goals and assists. 19 goals and 13 assists in the Premier League alone, in 37 games. He was absent in just 1 game for Villa, and had the biggest direct contribution to a goal in the Premier League. This season, the best of his life, has reached new heights, and it's great to see Watkins living it up. A modest Aston Villa player, but I won't dwell on that joke. Interestingly, England will play the first final in its history outside of England. The men's team has only reached 2 finals in history, one in 1966, when they won the World Cup, and the other recently, when they lost to Italy on penalties. The final will be in Germany, in Berlin, against Spain. Premier League versus La Liga. Imagine the level of heated debates leading up to Sunday and after Sunday's final. Spain comes in as favorites, but I think it's not that big of a disparity, given England's individual quality and their ability to switch gears. An England that was in first gear, sometimes in reverse or neutral, until the game against Switzerland, moved into first gear, or even into second gear against Switzerland, has now moved into third gear. Suddenly, they shift into fourth gear against Spain, who are favorites and play the most beautiful football in this European Championship. Final, single game. Who knows what could happen? I think we will have a fun final. Imagine if Southgate's last game for England culminates in a Euro title. It's to make you think. Until Sunday.